Flyman, real name Clip Foster, made his first appearance in Spitfire Comics #1, published in 1941 by Harvey Comics. That's right, the company better known for Richie Rich and Casper the Friendly Ghost comics. That was in the 50s though. During the early golden age, they tried their hand at superheroes, like everyone else, but it didn't go so well. Anyway, Flyman's first adventure, simply titled Flyman, was written, penciled, inked, and colored by Sam Glanzman, credited as Sam Glanz. He was only 17 at the time. In the story, we meet heavyweight boxer Clip Foster in the middle of a fight for the world championship. His crooked manager Billy Banks offers Clip $2,000 if he throws the fight, which Clip refuses, instead proceeding to knock out his opponent and win the championship. Shortly afterwards, Clip goes to his father's laboratory, where he volunteers as a guinea pig for a shrinking experiment. Clip's dad has invented a ray which can shrink a man to 12 inches. Clip is eager to be the first test subject, despite the fact his dad doesn't have a method to return him to normal size. So, does any of this make any sense to you? This heavyweight boxer has a mad scientist dad who's invented a shrinking ray, and for some reason his son has to be the one it's used on, and he'll be stuck like that forever. Anyway, after the experiment is a success and Clip is 12 inches short, Billy the manager bursts onto the scene with a pair of goons in tow. Doing his best Edward G. Robinson impression, Billy demands that Clip's dad shrink his 2 goons as well, so that he can use them for a crime later. Tiny criminals are very effective after all. Seeing as how Billy is waving around a gun, Clip's dad agrees. Afterwards, while all 3 shrunken subjects are resting or something, Billy grabs the tiny Clip and throws him at a conveniently placed tube of acid. Tiny Clip's face is horrifically disfigured as a result. Naturally, this enrages his dad, who attacks Billy, but it's to no avail as his charge is met by a barrage of gunfire. His dad murdered, the disfigured Clip swears vengeance on his manager. He then dons a readily made tiny superhero costume, as apparently his dad wanted him to become a superhero, although this wasn't mentioned at all earlier. Taking the name Flyman, Clip then literally fly out the window, and how he got the power of flight I have no idea. We then get your standard superhero action fare as Flyman stops Billy's crime, kicks his and his tiny goons' asses, and leaves the leftovers to the cops, whatever's actually left. How Flyman got so powerful from being shrunk is also not explained. The character returned in the very next issue of Spitfire Comics, this story again simply titled Flyman. Glanzman did this one as well. As you can see, Flyman now got the honor of being featured on the cover. This story is about Flyman fighting a gang of counterfeiters, and yeah, that's really it. And as fate would have it, it would be the very last adventure of the Flyman, as Spitfire Comics was cancelled after this issue. And that was that. We never saw Clip Foster and his tiny disfigured face ever again. So what do you even say about this character? His stories are so poorly written, nothing makes any sense. As you can probably tell, they're very amateurish, which maybe isn't so strange considering Glanzman was only 17. I mean, this is really bare bones storytelling. Clearly he didn't know the first thing about plot development or character building. Random things just seem to happen in the Flyman stories, and with no explanation. First we open up with a boxer, then all of a sudden we're in a laboratory, and the next thing you know we've got a tiny flying masked superhero. How did we get from point A to point B and so on? Why is any of this even happening? The most obvious question is, of course, how did Clip get his powers? He was just shrunk. How is he strong like the Hulk? And why can he fly? For some strange reason though, Flyman doesn't always seem to be able to fly. There's just one scene where he hitches a ride on a seagull to get where he's going. Did Glanzman forget he could actually fly himself when he's called a Flyman? And have you ever seen a fly who's fucking 12 inches tall? That would be horrifying. Glanzman did go on to write more popular comics later for Charlton Comics, like a Hercules series and some war comics, so I guess he did become a better writer. Flyman is apparently one of his lesser works. There are some interesting parts to this character though, like his background as a boxer and his disfigured face. I also really like his design. The costume is cool, except for maybe the briefs. They're a bit silly, but then again reminiscent of a boxer's briefs, so it makes sense. Anyway, if you want to read these for yourself, I've put a link in the description. Spitfire Comics is in the public domain, so it's perfectly free and legal. And as always, remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.